There are places in this world that don't just welcome you, they change you. Where the food doesn't just feed your body, it feeds your soul. Where the music doesn't just reach your ears, it moves through your chest. Where time doesn't just pass, it lingers. This is Spain. And once it gets into your blood, it never leaves. Barcelona. Barcelona doesn't follow the rules, it makes them, then breaks them, then turns the broken pieces into art. This is the city that gave the world Antoni Gaudí, a man who looked at architecture and said, "Why should buildings be boring?" And nowhere is that more breathtaking than the Sagrada Família. Here's something that stops people in their tracks. This cathedral has been under construction since 1882. That's over 140 years, and it still isn't finished, but step inside, and you'll understand why they're taking their time. The light doesn't just enter the Sagrada Família, it performs. Columns of stained glass scatter color across every surface, red, amber, violet, gold. As if Gaudí designed the building to make every visitor feel like they're standing inside a living sunrise. But Barcelona isn't just Gaudí. Walk down to Barceloneta Beach as the afternoon heat shimmers off the sand. Watch old men playing chess under palm trees. Watch young couples sipping cava, Spain's version of champagne. Watching sailboats drift toward the horizon. Then, as the sun drops and the city exhales, Barcelona transforms. The restaurants don't even open for dinner until 9 p.m. The clubs don't fill until 2 a.m. Sleep is optional. Joy is mandatory. This is a city that doesn't just live, it pulses. Madrid. If Barcelona is Spain's artist, Madrid is its poet. Loud, passionate, unapologetically alive, Madrid sits at the geographic center of Spain, and it acts like it. This is the city that invented the concept of eating dinner at midnight and calling it early. Stop at the Mercado de San Miguel, a cathedral of food built from iron and glass. A single block holds jamón ibérico carved paper-thin, fresh oysters, artisan cheese, churros dipped in thick dark chocolate, and every variety of Spanish one you've never heard of but will never forget. Walk into the Museo del Prado and stand before Velázquez's Las Meninas, painted in 1656. Art historians have spent centuries trying to decode what's really happening in that painting. You'll spend 5 minutes in front of it and feel like you've lived an entire lifetime. That's what Madrid does. It takes the grand and makes it intimate. It takes history and makes it present. And at 3 in the morning, when the streets of Malasaña are still crowded, still laughing, still dancing, you realize Madrid doesn't have a bedtime. It has momentum. Seville. If you want to understand Spain, not just see it, you come to Seville. Because Seville doesn't perform for tourists, it performs for itself. Walk the labyrinthine lanes of the Barrio Santa Cruz, where the walls are so white they hurt your eyes and the scent of orange blossom follows you like a memory. And then there is flamenco, not the watered-down version in tourist shows, but the real thing. In a tiny, dimly lit tablao with only 30 people in the room, a woman in a red dress begins to stamp her feet against the wooden floor, slowly at first, then faster, and something happens in that room that is almost impossible to explain. The hair on your arms rises, your throat tightens, your eyes fill. You've never heard this song before in your life, but somehow it feels like grief you didn't know you were carrying. That is flamenco, not a dance, a confession. And Seville is the city where Spain whispers its deepest truths. Valencia is the city that invented paella, and honestly, they'd really like you to know they take the matter very seriously. The authentic version, we're talking rice, rabbit, chicken, green beans, saffron, all cooked over an open wood fire in a pan the size of a small swimming pool. No cream, no chorizo. The locals will look at you if you try. It's just fire, patience, and tradition. But, you know, Valencia is more than food. It's also the city of Las Fallas, which is, without a doubt, one of the world's most spectacular and totally insane festivals. For 5 days every March, the streets fill with 90-foot papier-mâché sculptures, built by neighborhood teams over the course of an entire year. And then, on the final night, they burn every single one of them to the ground. The whole city gathers. The flames roar 40 feet high. People cheer. In Valencia, even destruction is a celebration. The Balearic Islands, two completely different philosophies of happiness. Ibiza. The name alone does something to people, right? Because Ibiza isn't just a place, it's a permission slip, permission to dance until the sun comes up, permission to lose yourself completely in sound and light, and that particular joy of being surrounded by strangers who somehow feel like family. The sunsets at Café Del Mar have made grown adults weep, and then, order another drink. And then, just 40 minutes away by ferry, there's Mallorca, where the coves are so perfectly turquoise that photographers actually wonder if they've stumbled into a screensaver. Where the Serra de Tramontana mountains drop vertically into the sea. Where you can spend an entire day finding a cove that, even in summer, only you know about. Mallorca is Ibiza's quiet older sibling, the one who reads poetry, the one who watches the stars from a stone terrace. Both are paradise. Which one you choose says everything about you. But here's what most people never find, the Spain that lives between the Instagram photos, the Picos de Europa, mountains so dramatic, so remote, so brutally beautiful that they actually make the Alps feel like mild suggestions. The Alhambra in Granada, a 14th century Moorish palace of such intricate geometric detail that mathematicians still study it today. Stand in its court of the lions and honestly you understand, maybe for the first time, that beauty is not decoration. It is argument. The Camino de Santiago, an ancient pilgrimage route, 800 kilometers from the French Pyrenees to the Cathedral of Santiago de Compostela. Every year, 350,000 people from every country on earth walk it. Atheists and priests, the heartbroken and the joyful, the lost and the found. They all arrive at the same cathedral. They all weep the same tears. And in the tiny villages, in Extremadura, in Castile, in the deep south of Andalusia, old men still gather in the plaza every evening, not looking at phones, just together. This is the hidden Spain, the Spain that doesn't need to be discovered, because it never forgot what it was. Spain is not a country you visit, it's a country you survive, because it gets under your skin. It ruins you for ordinary life. It makes the quiet of home feel a little too quiet, the sunsets a little too pale, the food a little too careful. You will think about it unprompted at 2 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. You'll hear a guitar note on the radio and suddenly be back in Seville in an instant, smelling jasmine, feeling the warm stone of a narrow street under your fingertips. They say the Spanish word añoranza, the longing for a place you've left, has no perfect English equivalent. Maybe that's because the English never had Spain. But now you've seen it, and somewhere in you, something already knows. Go. Not someday. Not when things calm down. Not when you have more money or more time. Go. Before the world changes again. Before another year passes. Before you find another reason to wait. Spain is calling. And it has been calling you. For longer than you know. If Spain just moved something in you, hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you want to travel the world one extraordinary place at a time. And leave a comment below. Which part of Spain called to you the most? I read every single one. Until next time, travel far, feel deeply, and never stop wandering.